Hello, my wonderful students. This is Miss Hawkins helping you with the How Did the Nile Shape Ancient Egypt background essay. So to review our questions like we learned in class today, number 1, name 4 important river civilizations of the ancient world. Remember, the key phrase that we were looking for there was river civilizations. Number 2, list 2 or 3 pairs of contrasts that describe ancient Egypt. The word that we were looking for there was contrasts or opposites. Number 3, what are 2 of the sources of the Nile? The word that we're looking for there is sources. Number 4, how did the flooding cycle provide a seasonal rhythm for the Egyptian people? The first phrase that we are looking for is flooding cycle, and the second phrase that we are looking for is seasonal rhythm. Number 5, why was sand a health threat for Egyptians? So we're looking for health threat and maybe also sand. And then the words that we have in bold, we are going to define black land, red land, tributaries, papyrus, and irrigation. We've already gone over the timeline, so let's go back to the text. Number 1, we have every class is finished. Number 2, we're looking for pairs of contrasts. So follow along with me as we read. Perhaps the most stunning fact about Egypt is its age. The first pharaoh began his rule in 2920 BCE, nearly 5,000 years ago. From this early beginning, Egypt has been a land of contrasts, a place contrasts. There's the word. Okay, going back to the question, I know that we are going to list 2 or 3 pairs of contrasts that describe ancient Egypt. So we can't answer it yet. We've got to keep reading. Egypt has been a place of contrasts, a place of hot, sunny days and cold nights, of crop-laden fields and empty deserts. In its early days, Egypt was 2 distinct kingdoms. To the south was Upper Egypt, where the Nile flows north out of the mountains. To the north was Lower Egypt, where the river spreads into a delta before emptying into the Mediterranean. So we know that somewhere in here we have our 2 to 3 contrasts. Pause the video and go ahead and copy it down in complete sentences, making sure you include your quotation marks to show that you took it out of the text. From here, oh my gosh, I have forgotten our keyword for question number 3. So we have answered question number 2, moving on to 3. What are 2 of the sources of the Nile? Okay, so that's what we are looking for as we continue on. We're looking for the sources of the Nile. Egyptians also spoke of the black land and the red land. Oh my gosh, these words are in bold. That's right. That means that they are words that we have to define. Okay, well, we saw them in the text, but do we understand what they are yet? Not yet, so let's continue reading. Egyptians also spoke of the black land and the red land. The black land hugged the Nile. The red land was the desert just beyond. The black land represented life. The red land meant danger. For Egyptians, the Nile literally meant the difference between life and death. So, in these few sentences, we have enough information to be able to describe or define what they meant, the ancient Egyptians meant by black land and what they meant by red land. Again, pause the video and write your answers down. Okay, so from here, we are continuing on and we are talking about the sources. Remember, number 3, we're looking for the word source or something that tells us where the Nile comes from. Continuing on, follow along with me. The source of the, oh my gosh, it's here already. The source of the Nile was a mystery to the ancient Egyptians. Now we know that one branch, called the Blue Nile, begins in Lake Tana on the highlands of Ethiopia. The other main branch, the White Nile, begins with the waters that flow into and then out of Lake Victoria in Kenya. Every year, when heavy rain falls in Central Africa, the tributaries of the Blue and White Nile grow full and flow into the main river. Well, that last sentence doesn't really help us, but these do. So again, we're going to pause and we are going to answer the question. Remind me, my wonderful human beings, are we just writing? So we've got our two branches. First branch is the Blue Nile. The other main branch is the White Nile. On our answer paper, are we just writing Blue Nile, White Nile? Of course not. We answer in complete sentences. To answer in a sentence, we are going to restate the question. The two sources of the Nile are, and then you provide the answer. And remember, every sentence ends with a period. Again, pause if you need more time. Oh. As Ms. Hawkins kept reading, we saw the word tributaries. But I don't know what tributaries means. So let's go back and reread that again. Every year, when heavy rain falls in Central Africa, the tributaries of the Blue and White Nile grow full and flow into the main river. The Mother Nile, its waters replenished, then flows north and into Egypt. There, the water spills over its banks and covers the low-lying floodplain. For thousands of years, hold on. We're trying to figure out tributaries, right? So, tributaries, the Blue and White Nile grow full and flow into the main river. Heavy rain falls in Central Africa, the tributaries of the Nile. Oh, wait a minute. The Blue and the White Nile are tributaries. So that means that tributaries are not just sources, but sources of what? Good, they are the sources of the water. Well done. Pause to write your answer. Which brings us to number 4. How did the flooding cycle provide a seasonal rhythm for the Egyptian people? Remember, we are looking for flooding cycle and we are looking for seasonal rhythm. Okay, back to the text. For thousands of years, this flooding cycle, good. This flooding cycle has provided a seasonal rhythm for the Egyptian people. Well, I mean, that's both of the phrases, but do we have information? No, so what do we need to keep doing? We need to keep reading. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Continuing on. The flooding cycle determined the planting season for farmers. Their main crops were barley and emmer wheat for making bread and beer. People pay their taxes in wheat, and wheat was a main export. Well, at this point, we're talking about farming, but the first sentence, that really helps us. The flooding cycle determined the planting season for farmers. Does that tell us the seasonal rhythm? Yeah, they had the planting season. So what rhythm did that get people into? Could you plant outside of planting season? Could you harvest outside of harvest season? Okay, so kind of like with music, people got into that rhythm, right? So how did the flooding cycle provide that rhythm for the people? It let the people know that they needed to. Good job. Thank you for finishing the sentences. And remember, we are still looking for sand as a health threat and papyrus and irrigation. As always, you can pause, you can go back, anything you need. Let's reread this part. Their main crops were barley and emmer wheat for making bread and beer. People paid their taxes in wheat, and wheat was a main export. Farmers also grew flax for producing fine linen and harvested papyrus from the marshy areas along the river and in the delta. So, if they harvested papyrus, then we know that papyrus must be awesome. Where did that plant grow? There's your answer. Go ahead and write the definition down. Continuing on, irrigation channels from the here's one of our vocabulary words. Irrigation channels from the Nile flow to smaller gardens where farmers grew vegetables such as onions, beans, and cucumbers. Date and fig and pomegranate trees were tended along the river. So irrigation, this doesn't help us very much, but we do remember from Mesopotamia, irrigation was talking about taking water from the river and bringing it to other places. I wonder what will happen if I click on it. When you use the online version, the definition pops up. Thank you for taking time to do this at home. Here is a free answer for you. I appreciate you. Pause the video if you need to. Continuing on. Oh, let's look for, so we have all 5 of our vocabulary terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just defined irrigation. Now we are looking for sand and the health threat for Egyptians. While fruits, grains, and vegetables might sound like the makings of a healthful diet, hey, health, that's what we're talking about. One ingredient of Egyptian meals was definitely not good: desert sand. Sand was everywhere, easily settling into the dough for flatbread, a basic food eaten by everyone. Once the ever-present sand ground down a person's teeth, infection and pain set in. Thus, dental disease became a common medical problem in ancient Egypt. So, what are the dangerous health issues, the health dangers for sand? You can copy directly from the text or you can paraphrase, but when you copy from the text, make sure you include your quotation marks. Awesome, let's finish it up. Let's time travel to this fertile yet hostile land where life revolved around the ebb and flow of a single waterway. On the following pages are 5 documents that provide a glimpse of Egyptian life thousands of years ago. As you read the documents, think about how the Nile gave rise to a civilization that, all this time later, continues to fascinate. Then answer the question, how did the Nile shape ancient Egypt? So, on Wednesday, we are going to be looking at 2 documents. On Thursday, we're going to look at another 2 documents. All 4 of these documents and this background essay are going to help us answer this essential question: how did the Nile shape ancient Egypt? My wonderful human beings, thank you so much for your hard work today. Be good people, make good choices. See you tomorrow.